remember the arbitrary social distancing. We talked about leaders in the scientific world conceding. What was it? Scott Gottlieb even said, like, yeah, that 6 feet shit was they just made that up. That's why you got places like Europe had only 3 feet. None of it makes any sense. It's just arbitrary. And now the CDC is updating its guidelines. It's almost like, I don't know, they're about to start treating this shit like the flu, which I know y'all got so triggered when people would compare it to that earlier on. And they announced yesterday that they're updating and shortening the recommended isolation and quarantine period for the general population. So remember, it was always, okay, you get it, or rather you expose someone that had it, you need to be in a bubble basically for 10 days. Given what we currently know about COVID-19 and Omicron, this I'm reading directly from CDC.gov. CDC is shortening the recommended time for isolation from 10 days for people with COVID-19 to 5 days if asymptomatic. Again, that's arbitrary. If it could be done now, it could have been done before. One of y'all gonna concede that they're just making shit up? Followed by 5 days of wearing a mask when around others. The change is motivated by science demonstrating that major SARS-CoV-2 transmission occurs early in the course of the illness, generally and 1 to 2 days prior to onset of the symptoms and 2 to 3 days after. Therefore, people who test positive should isolate for 5 days, and if asymptomatic at that time, they may leave isolation if they continue to mask for 5 days to minimize the risk of infecting others. So you guys understand when they say the science did that, they're saying they got to that, they just came to that conclusion. I say this all the time. The truth always was the truth, right? So what is already what is. Just because you're late to its arrival does not mean that the truth rested upon you. And that's unfortunately why we have to call it a religion. Because it's faith-based for a lot of you guys. You just think that they control what the science, quote unquote, says. And that's not how this shit works. If it was okay now, or it's okay now, then it was okay before. Now, again, just think about the time that you've wasted. Additionally, CDC is updating recommended quarantine period for those exposed to COVID-19. For people who are unvaccinated or more than 6 months out of their second mRNA dose and not yet boosted, the CDC now recommends for 5 days, followed by strict mask rules for an additional 5 days quarantine. Alternatively, if a 5-day quarantine is not feasible, it is imperative that an exposed person wear a well-fitted mask at all times when around around others for 10 days. But they're telling you not to stay in a bubble. That's basically what they're doing. It's a slick way of saying go back to living, but we gotta kind of ease y'all into it because we don't want to look too bad like we've been wrong this whole fucking time. For all those exposed, best practice would also include a test 5 days after exposures. If symptoms occur, individuals should immediately quarantine until a negative test confirms, blah, blah, blah. The following is attributed to CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who we often quote. The Omicron variant is spreading quickly and has potential to impact all facets of our society. We live in a society. CDC's updated recommendations for isolation and quarantine balance what we know about the spread of the virus and the protection provided by vaccination and boosted doses. These updates ensure people can safely continue their daily lives. Prevention is our best option. Get vaccinated, get boosted. Again, it doesn't, like, they're telling you, hey guys, this hasn't worked in the way that we said that it was supposed to work, but we still want you to go do it. Someone please give me the definition of insanity. If you test positive for COVID-19, isolate. This is the rules. Everyone, regardless of vaccination status, you should stay home for 5 days. If you have no symptoms or your symptoms are resolving after 5 days, you can leave your house. So hell, you can even you can be recovering. You can be feeling better. It's not even just having no symptoms. You can be feeling better because they made that stipulation. They said no symptoms or your symptoms are resolving, which basically means you had symptoms, but now not as much. And they continue to wear a mask all around. They say for 5 days. Now, if you were exposed to someone with COVID-19, if you have been boosted, or you have gotten all your jabs, they say you should wear a mask around others for 10 days and then test on day 5. But never anymore is it, okay, you got exposed to someone, you should quarantine yourself for 10 days. Now, again, I don't know which one of y'all crackhead ass motherfuckers is doing that. I guess you live in California, New York, and all of those sorts of things. Basically, what this saying is that, okay, guys, we realize the jig is up, but we're not ready to concede that we got it wrong, and then we led y'all to believe something that necessarily wasn't true. So instead of just saying, oh, we fucked up, we'll kind of say we fucked up, but we'll still keep some of the semblance of the things that we were telling you to do, despite there being no evidence of how effective that shit is. Again, if it could happen now, it could have happened before. Just admit you were duped. That's it. Just admit it. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.